do is go ahead and when you signed in, you should sign in and then put your sheet in alphabetical order. And you're going to keep your procedures checklist with your sign-in sheet, so that each time you come here, you can check off on that procedures checklist whatever is appropriate. So what we'll do is do our training, and then at the end of the day, I would suggest that you sign out, and then you can look at the list and check it off. And basically, we're going to go just straight down that list for the next 4 weeks. That's what the plan is. So you can kind of see what we're working on.
Just on the skills sheet, just make sure that you add your name to it, even though it's beside your sign-in sheet. That way, if they get separated, we'll know.
Yes, please write your name at the top. I forgot to put a spot.
That's fine. We're all doing it. Just
yeah, super. Well, the first thing that we're going to talk about today is barn cleaning. And those of you who have been in a barn know that there's a lot of cleaning. But what we're going to do is we're going to start doing Operation Cleanup, and the first 15 minutes of, well, not the first 15 minutes of classes, but the first 15 minutes that we get here, we're all just going to make an effort to do some cleaning. And so I wanted to kind of go over that today and talk about how you could help out when you get here. Basically, anything that you look at and you think, you know, there's dust there or there's trash on the ground, please just pick it up and just help us to keep this place clean. There's some obvious things that you can do, and we're going to kind of go over those things today. First of all, that is the trash can right there. It does say trash, but it's very subtle, and you'd be amazed how people just don't find the trash can and they leave their trash sitting around. Please feel free to say, hey, the trash can's right there, to someone that comes in, because people just don't see it. And I find that a lot. You know, a lot of stuff gets left in the playground up there. Everybody knows where the playground waiting area is, and that's where we ask families to sit, and or if you want to take a break and sit down. So anyway, a lot of times that's where a lot of trash gets left. Feel free to walk around and just pick up trash. Right over here, this is a broom. Always sweep in here. You can sweep out the tack room, and there's some dust pans right in here. Right over here in the corner. You can throw it in the trash, you can throw it out there, it's no big deal. Usually I try to get the majority of the hay and not just stick it out in front of the barn. Does anybody have any questions about that? Sweeping, simple. There's more brooms over there, smaller brooms that aren't so big. There is a little leaf rake right here, and this little leaf rake, you can use this to clean up hay. It gets real windy out here, and I'm not sure if this hay kills grass or not, but it seems wherever I have thick hay, it seems to lose grass. But all out in here out in front of the barn looks so much better if that hay is not there. So please feel free to do that. On the playground, sticks, leaves, this is great. There's wheelbarrows over here, and you can go dump manure or sticks or rocks or whatever out there, out that gate right there, and you'll see the pile of manure. Other cleaning supplies, let me show you, they're in the tack room. Oh, and the most simple and the most needed all the time, this is an upgrade. And these two stalls right here and that pen where the horses are out there are the areas that, Ted, would you like to talk about this part?
No, I'll show you how to do it.
he will pass it on today.
Yeah.
Looking for a volunteer.
It's so much fun, I wouldn't want anybody else to do it.
You don't want to
That's
share
kind of how I felt when you took it away from me.
There is a little hanger thing right here, so let's just do that. Just to be safe. Other cleaning supplies, right up here, this is the tack room. The very top shelf up here, you can find Windex, anything you need to clean this table over here. It gets dirty real quick. Dusting, I mean, you can dust, you know, we get constant dust, things like that. Okay, so we have 15 is cleaned up. If somebody wants to rake some hay out here, the aisle's pretty clean, but it can be swept a little bit. Well, what we're going to do right now is we're going to talk about horse body language. And so you don't have to sit here and stare at me. You're welcome to watch the horses and just kind of observe them. Those of you who have been around horses, I'd love your input. Share what you know. This is an open discussion. Learning about horse body language is an ongoing, never-ending process. And it's so cool because I learn every day. And if I'll sit and really watch and listen to my horses, they'll tell me so much. They just have so much to teach. But the key is learning how to read them. And what happens a lot of people are nervous and scared around horses. And what I tell them is, you just need to understand what's going on with your horse. They're constantly telling you, and if you learn to read their body language, then you can feel more comfortable around them. And so then the next thing they do is, well, what's the horse telling me right now? What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, what do you think it means? That's the first thing I'll say with a student or with someone that's new to horses. Listen to your gut, and a lot of times you're right. You're right on target. Okay, so we're going to talk about some basics on how to read horse body language. Okay, first of all, I bet y'all can tell me some. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to open it up to you guys. Tell me what's some of the common things that you see a horse and what does it mean? See a horse do and what does it mean?
Ears flat back, which are not for head.
Okay, good one. I knew that was coming first. Okay, let's see. Flora, are her ears flat back? No, her ears aren't flat back, and a lot of people get confused with that. When they're back, just turn backwards like this right here. She's probably listening to my voice, or she's attentive of something behind her. Flat back, just push her ear down and show them what flat back is. They're down, and they're tense. There's a lot of tension in their whole face will be tense. Just, it's that kind of a look. So that wasn't aggression, but there's, usually their body will be tensed up too. Can you tell the difference in the intensity of her ears? You can tell they go back farther and they go far. There's so much stuff that happens there in those ears. Basically, wherever their ears are pointed is what they're paying attention to. So she's like, oh, what are those kids doing? Oh, that lady's still talking. So over here, you can look at each one of the horses. What do you think, Pete? What do you think's going on with Pete over here?
He's very relaxed.
Very relaxed, bored.
He's kind of interested in what we're doing, I think, though.
That's a real interesting pose because his ears weren't facing us, and so it's like, well,
I think he's trying to ignore you because he doesn't want to look.
yeah.
He's like, I'm not going to listen to her, then she'll leave me alone.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to ignore her. I know she's here, I'm going to ignore her.
Yeah, I don't know it all. I don't know all that he's telling us. I know he's telling us a lot more than I understand, but I can tell you some of the things that I do understand about what he's telling us. He is facing us. That is a respect thing. It's very respectful when a horse directs their body toward, just like you and I. If I'm talking to you, you would expect for me to face you. If I'm standing like this, then there's kind of an element. And even like this, and it's the same thing with horses. If they're facing you, then they're showing you a respectful stance. Horses, when they explore, just like if you think about a small child, how do they explore something? If they see this beautiful glass vase up on they want to touch it, okay? What do horses use to touch? They don't have hands, but they'll use their nose. So they do explore things with their nose. There's a fine line there too, because they can also push you around with their face. And so when I'm working with a horse on like toys and some of the strange things that we use in our program that other normal horse people don't use, so we have to do a lot of work to introduce them to some of our gadgets and stuff. I make sure and let them do all they want with their nose and with their, and even chewing on it if it's not something that they'll ruin, because that's how they explore. On the other hand, beware that there can be a line there. So if you feel like they're trying to push you, then that's a whole other story. Pete is alpha, which means that he's the boss out here. And if Pete from over here told her to move, which could have happened, I do not know, then guess what? She didn't want to get in trouble. She moved. I don't know if that was it either, or she could have just moved. So if Pete were to come over here and get me to move, and I mean, that's getting me to move, isn't it? It's not much. But if he gets me to do this, now if he gets me to run, then that's a lot, and he's like, whoa. And that is how horses establish who in the pecking order is over who, okay? He can get, in other words, he can get any horse in here, he can get them to move, okay? He can get them to move pretty fast. He's pretty good at them. So if Flora walks over to Tracy and she gets Tracy to move away from her, how does Flora instinctually translate that in her head?
She's dominated. She's winning.
Yeah, I just won that game. And horses, what they do is they play games with each other. Sometimes they're a little more aggressive than others, but they'll play games with each other and determine this, who can get who to move, okay? And they're going to do that with us. It's kind of a natural thing, but we always keep it in check. And so this is a big thing. If you have a halter on a horse and you're grooming them and they move over a little bit and they get you to move over away from them, what just subtly happened? It was a subtle game and they won. So if you always have a conscientious effort of this, that you don't move my feet, I move your feet. And if you're going to let them move your feet, believe me, they are, because it's instinctual. It's a safety net that they have. You can't really look at Pete and go, oh, he's just so mean and I can't believe. No, that's the way horses are in the herd. They want the strongest to be the leader because it keeps the herd safe. That horse carries a big responsibility. This isn't the wild, and we don't have tigers out hunting them and anything like that, but they're still wired for that. There are ways to keep yourself safe, okay? One of the things you can use your body, and it's a little more uncomfortable. It's a little bit more comfortable to carry something in your hand and use that. Just whatever your comfort level is. I don't really encourage you to come out here if you don't feel comfortable making a horse get away without using a lead rope or a whip or something. Okay. So Ted's going to use his hand. He doesn't have anything else. He just pushed the horse away. That was a great demonstration. Okay. Basically, I want to match him. If he's running into me, then I'm going to go run back into him with equal aggression, okay? So if he comes over and he just kind of barely gets me to move, then I'd be real kind and gentle like Ted just did and kind of push him away and say, hey. Do you see what I mean by match him? Okay? When I'm out here, usually what's going to happen when you're in this pen is something like exactly what you just saw. Haas is dominant over Flora. Therefore, if Haas says just barely like that, and Tracy's a very keen horse person, she picked up on it. It can be so subtle, a tiny little movement of the ear, and the other horse goes, okay, you just said move out of the way. And so usually when you're out here, it's stuff like that you're going to need to watch for. So the key is awareness. The key is pay attention. Don't come out here and just start doing your thing and not have any clue what those horses are doing, because did y'all see what happened with Flora when she spooked? All was great. The whole thing happened and she reacted, and that's how horses are. They're wired that way again for safety, for instinctual self-preservation. They are prey animals, not predators. We're predators. We go out and we hunt. Horses are not hunting animals. They are hunted, and so their whole makeup is to keep from getting eaten. What does a relaxed horse look like?
Got a pillow.
A pillow, okay. Laying on the couch. horse, a really good indicator, this is their withers right here. If they have a level head, which she pretty much has right now, it can go up. I can make it go up. I can show you. No, you're not going to bring your head up for me. There it goes. Little tail switch there. A level head, see it's coming up a little bit. The higher up it is, probably the more stress there is. A head that's down really low, that's a really relaxed horse. You can look at their eyes. A lot of people call it softness. You can tell the softness in their eyes. It's windy today. Horses, just like us, you know, when it's windy, you're kind of a little more, and everybody's a little more, and there's a lot of people out here, so if you look at Pete's eye, there's a lot of softness in his eye. Well, here she goes. She wanted to give us an example. It's a soft eye. It's a relaxed horse. Can it change in a heartbeat? Yes. That's why constant awareness. So I don't want to stand here. If I were to stand like this and I can't see her, I'm really compromising my safety. It's not that I don't trust the horse. It's not anything like that. It's just not a good idea. You should always be able to see, especially since these guys are loose. Okay, so a relaxed horse. We work towards relaxed horses. We want relaxed horses out here, okay? We want them to feel safe and comfortable and confident and to be relaxed, and we work towards this. Okay, when you're there are things that you do with the horse where it's not so relaxing. It's like when you're at work and you're really busy, you're not relaxed, right? So yeah, there's some levels, but overall we want to encourage relaxation with the horses, okay? So some of the other things, a horse that is scared, concerned, is the word to say. What would that look like?
They'll put their heads up, or look up, they'll lift their tails up, they'll look at what's frightening them. For one, that's one way to do it.
They'll look at it. Anybody looking at any of this? There's Flora. There's a level of intensity too. So when we're out there in a class and the horse does that, I can kind of gauge whether are you about to spook, or are you thinking, are you kind of just looking, and you know, Flora was just kind of looking.
But when they switch their tail.
Oh, thank you, Ted. Thank you. Okay, we'll get a little demo here. She's not real big on being touched, especially towards her hind end. So, okay, so the head's coming around. She's like, I don't really like that much, and I'm gonna do this for safety. Okay, I have complete control. Not complete, but I have pretty good control over this horse. And most of these horses here, you should be able to control them, especially if you put it up by their up here. You should be able to control them by this, with the exception of Booger. You'd have to drag them around like this, but I still do it with them sometimes. Let's see if we can get a little agitation going. I know it's not nice to agitate, is it? But she does it. And I'm going to correct her. All I'm doing, I'm pushing the part that she pushed me with. Okay. So what happened there? Thank you. See, I was in a very unsafe position just then. But what was going to happen?
Just right, I run into you. Go over you.
Most likely. Yeah. Now, what I try to do is teach these horses that if somebody else is coming into you, doesn't mean you can come into me. But that's not a guaranteed to happen, because if he's about to kick her, she's probably going to, out of an effort to not get, a bruise or whatever. So that's what I mean by awareness. I was in a position where I wasn't able to be aware of what went on over there. Okay, so we had a lot of good body language there. What happened?
She didn't like it.
She didn't like it, and how'd she show us?
Her tail was all in.
Okay.
Her head was out.
Okay, good. Everybody saw that? Okay, tail swishing. Ted said tail swishing. Tail swishing can mean a lot of things. It can mean I have flies on me that are agitating me, and in the summertime we do everything we can to keep the flies off, and they're still going to have some flies on them. There's no flies right now, so it's real easy to know if you're agitating them. Their tail will swish. That's a good sign of agitation. Sometimes alpha horse will swish their tail at another horse before kicking. Usually kicking is something that happens that you way missed all the signals prior to. Most horses. Some horses are. So tail swishing is a pretty clear sign of agitation. What are some other signs of agitation? Pawing. Yeah, you'll see that a lot with tied horses. Amber has touching issues, and what I encourage her to do is, if you don't like it, and I always say, you can't move away from me, you will never get in trouble for that, and I give her that out. Don't ever move into me. That's never an option. No matter, I don't care what you're doing, the horse is not allowed to move into you. That's not okay. So Natalie brought up something that was real important with the horse moving away from you. Have you ever been around someone and thought it has nothing to do with that person, but you're like, oh, they've had a bad day, things aren't good right now, you know, maybe I don't want to go to the movies, you know, this isn't the time I'd want to go to the movies with them or whatever. Well, the cool thing about horses and why they're so therapeutic is that they can read what's going on with me when you can't. I don't know what they read. They read our blood pressure. They read our muscle tension. They read the subtleties of our body movements. If I'm real relaxed but you think about a happy person, how do they move? I mean, think about the kids that we saw out there. We've got some 3-year-olds and some 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds to show us. And how do they move? Those kids are relaxed and their bodies just flow. When we're tense, we don't think about it and you don't realize it. But this horse, on a day that I'm having a great day and not so frustrated, if I walk out here and I'm really frustrated with my kids, the subtlety in my movements, they can see. You may not be able to see it. These horses can see it, okay? So sometimes, you want to add to that?
They can see if you're hiding a halter. They know it. You know, don't bother hiding the halter because they know it. They know you're not hiding anything because all that does is make them a little bit more happy.
Okay, that was good. Don't bother hiding anything because these horses can see through us like you would not believe. So sometimes when a horse moves away from you, they may be saying, "Ooh, you having a bad day?" Oh, you know, nothing personal. It has nothing to do with you. It's just that they can read things. And so what happens, this is an instinctual thing built into horses, again, for preservation. It's for self-preservation. If there is a tiger out there that is taking a nap, they don't care. This is what I've been told as far as horses in the wild. But if the tiger's out there in a crouched position and hunting them, then they care and they respond. And so they're just real in tune to those subtleties. Okay, so we talked about a content horse. We talked about aggravated horse. What about what about signs of aggression? That's very important. We talked about ears back is one sign of aggression.
How about the white of the eyes?
That's a good one. What would that mean?
Well, usually it's not, they're kind of real aggressive. They're in a fight mode or excited mode. You don't need that calm eye. What you call it? Soft eyes. The white of the eye. I don't know what you call that.
That's good. That's the opposite of the soft eyes. That's awesome. Yeah. That would be when those eyes are really whoa, something's going on and we need to pay attention. If a horse moves their hind end towards you, that's very aggressive. Okay. The next thing that's going to happen is they're going to kick.
Like every person, every animal, everything has a bubble. And some
Personal
bubbles,
space.
huh?
Personal space.
Personal space, yes. And some bubbles are smaller than others.
Too close, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like right there, that's way too close.
Okay, let's say that Suzanne just got here this morning, and I walk up to Suzanne and I go, "Hey, how you doing?" Some people may interact that way, but does that seem normal to you? Abnormal. It seems abnormal to you? Okay. Suzanne's having a conversation with Tari over here, and I'm just sitting here going.
That's very needy.
You don't like that?
It's very needy.
It's just dangerous anyway.
I know it. Why would you get that close to me? It's like the new dog. I have a needy dog. She's just needy. And I'm
Yeah.
teaching her the space.
Okay, so, I can't tell you how many times I let the horse greet me like that. When I greet a person, when I see a person, I walk up to them with a reasonable amount of space and say hi, okay? If they reach out their hand or I reach out my hand, then we do make physical contact, okay? Same thing with a horse, and the more I think of it, it's the same thing with humans. If we put those same principles into action, if a horse is being respectful, they can approach you, but they allow your personal space. If they're being pushy, hey Suzanne! You knew that was coming.
She'll wait. You have to
Okay.
get them then, when they start pushing.
And it's real simple and exactly what she just did. If all you have is your hands, then you see that horse come, yeah, just start early before they get into your space. And if you have a rope, you can, whatever, just hey, don't let them know, no, don't come into my space. And then same thing, you can reach your hand out, especially if it's a horse that you don't know. You can reach your hand out and the horse can sniff you. And that's a good way to say hi, but it's a welcomed, hey, here's my hand. You've opened up that doorway. Does that make sense? Okay. If we're in a class, if we're just standing there holding the horse, if we're grooming the horse or whatever, and the horse's nose, again, I did that first example with Suzanne standing there talking, she's doing something else, and I'm just, and sometimes they do that, especially certain horses. They'll just, keep on you or whatever, and I think maybe, I don't know, but Flora was kind of working the crowd and doing that last week is what I'm thinking has happened. And we just needed to say, this is our space. You're in our space. And instead, she was sitting there, which if it was a human doing that, going around, we would have been like, what is your problem? That's abnormal. That is not normal behavior, and it's a little bit offensive. And I was even thinking about Pearl. Ted made a comment about, I don't know what it was the other day, but we all kind of feel the same about Pearl. For those of you who know who Pearl is. Yeah.
She's offensive because she's so.
And that's the reason why. It's because she's in our personal space. And when I think about it, I thought, what if Pearl just stayed out of our personal space? That's my mom's dog, by the way, and she comes over here a lot. And she's a golden retriever, she's young, and she's real vivacious, and she likes to get in your personal space.
Well, you can even watch other dogs with her, the way they treat her. They are offended by her always. They will play with her, but there's a different way they handle her than others. And horses, there are some horses that are that way.
There are some.
Just with each other, just in the pasture.
So it's interesting, if you really apply the same principles that you do to people, to the horses, then we're asking of the horses to be just as respectful as we are people. But if we allow the horses to do things that we don't allow people to do, then what happens is it's crossing a respect line in the horse communication rule. Does that make sense? Because if Pete sits there and somebody just allows him to just nuzzle all over him, and then, they're really letting him give a lot. Or to approach him and get in his personal space, then we know that that horse is alpha. That there's something there. And so in horse language, am I making that clear? In horse language, you're telling the horse, hey, I have no control over you. You're just going to sit here and do this to me, and I'm going to allow you to do it. Or you may move out of their, move away. Boy, then, and we talked about that last week. That definitely means you're alpha. You just moved me. So that personal space is huge. It's huge with horses, and just make sure that you are consciously aware if that horse is getting into your personal space. So if this is if this is where I feel comfortable with someone standing to me, then that horse shouldn't cross that line. I've established that by letting them know if they get a little bit closer, unless I welcome them in, unless I can. And if I'm alpha, then I can really say, okay, I'm gonna come over in a little bit closer, but it's my decision because I'm one that's alpha. Okay? If you're gonna take somebody out, and we talked about this a little bit last week, if you're gonna take somebody out into that pen, then you're the one that is responsible for them, just because until they, gain those skills and understanding. And so it's your job, your personal bubble all of a sudden became and included that person, and it's your job to protect. Does that make sense?
Well, you're teaching the new volunteer.
And you're teaching them.
Or you're helping reassure someone, and it's important to have that buddy and look out for them.
And it's kind of just like when you're catching a horse that's a non-alpha horse. Once you've caught that horse is depending on you to protect him from those other
True,
horses.
that's a good point.
So it's the same as that buddy you're taking in there. When you have that non-alpha horse, you need to make sure that alpha horse is not going to come and invade that space of the non-alpha horse, because they're kind of in a catch-22. They don't want to hurt you, but they also want to protect themselves. So they're going to count on you to protect them.
Like, if you come up to me and just like the horse, like I'm touching a horse and the horse steps back, I'm going to give him that space because I was too close. If you come up to me and I step back, you're too close to me, It's just as is. And then if I want you to go away...
Pearl has no bubble.
Huh?
Pearl has no bubble.
Pearl has no bubble. No. There's a kind way, though, to establish your bubble, I would say. And what it is, like right now, she knows my bubble's real big. She's not going to come into my bubble. If she does, she's going to get in trouble for it. And a good way to correct that is anything, just pushing them back, So I asked once nice, right? Did you see that? One time nice, and then the next time I'm not going to be so nice because she was real ugly a while ago. So there is a time and it's got to be quick. It's got, be kind first, ask lightly, and then get a little bit heavier, and then the last time you tell. Yeah, I'm watching him too, right? He's got it in his mind too.
Yeah. Our bubble is very big now
Yep.
because of what just happened.
Yeah.
So we just saw when she backed Flora up, did anybody see her chew? Back her up again. It probably won't happen, but. What happened is Natalie corrected her. She got a little big and she backed her up, and when Flora backed up and she stopped, she was. And if anytime you correct a horse and they chew, that's probably a sign that you did the right thing. Chewing is usually a sign of processing and usually a positive thing that you'll see a horse chew.
Everybody's doing it now.
And probably what they're saying is, oh, okay, yeah.
Now, Booker hadn't been in on the lesson.
But there's something that just happened, and now, okay, we've got some nose blowing and licking and chewing, and they're probably like, oh, well, we were just over there pushing all those people around, and now they're not letting us over there. Okay, well, and what did we do? We really took control of them. We're controlling them out here. That's a mental. Obviously, this is a mental thing with him. He's going, okay. They're in control. They're out. All of them. Safety is the number one reason.
Well, and two, another thing it prevents, it's safety, but it also helps you know what a horse is going to do before he does it. Because I knew when I wasn't at the gate and I saw Pete, and he could have just as well hollered at me and said, hey, I'm coming out the gate, because I knew he was.
Right.
And so, they know what they're going to do, and through experience we build the layers of being able to anticipate that behavior long before it happens.
Yes.
And it becomes a sixth sense to us that it's just part of our being. We just know it. Just like I knew she was going to step on that rake a while ago if I hadn't gone and moved it, because I could just see the way she was going, and she was going to back up and get on it, not maybe deliberately, but so in that's our responsibility to remove those obstacles.
Ooh, hurry.
And
That top thing needs to be shut.
Yeah, and keep gates closed behind you and keep things picked up because, you know, it's a trusting thing to think they would just come out and not bother it, but they will, out of curiosity.
And see,
Sometimes these horses could care less. They won't even get near me. And sometimes they're real curious and they follow me around. And I always try to be aware. I don't want to get between them. I don't want to get between a horse and the barn. I don't want to put myself in a compromising position. And like you say, you can take your hand and put it on their cheekbone here, kind of move them away from you, and go ahead and clean up. There's really no danger in that unless they get together in a huddle. If one of them spooks the other one, they'll move real quick. And I may be a big guy, but I'm just a little guy compared to them, you know. So, but I never have any fear out here. She talked about closing the gates. The other day I wasn't paying any attention. I had 4 horses out where they weren't supposed to be out here because the gate blew open and I wasn't paying any attention. And they'll get out in a hurry. So all our gates around here, no matter what it is, door, the stall doors here, the arena gate, go through it and close it. If somebody else wants in, they can let themselves in and close it. Because we just can't have horses. You can't be chasing horses all over the countryside and out on the road. Yeah. And they're quick. They're sneaky. They're like kids, you know, you open the door and zip, they're out the door. Sometimes they'll do that.
but I mean, always be aware of their hind end too. But if you can move a horse's shoulder, it's a very good tool to be able to move their front end away from you. Because hind end, it's harder to move away from you to get them to move their hind end if you don't have control of the front end. And so, and it's safer too to move the front end if you don't have a halter on it. So any just rhythmic, and if you have to get big, get big. They don't want that, you know? It's your safety first.
Okay, so a nervous horse, how do you deal with a nervous horse? A good thing to do is, because you think about if I were a small child and something concerned me and my mom said, oh, don't worry about it. You'd be like, oh, okay. Why? Because you trust your mom, you have respect, you think everything's okay. So, if they really see us as alpha, then we would hope that when we say, hey, it's okay, they're going to say, okay. That's the ideal of the relationship. A good thing to do is to do something with them. Get their focus back on you. I'm in charge here. I'm taking care of you. You're okay. Here, let's move your hiney a little bit. Let's back up. Let's go for a little trot. And a lot of times you can get their mind off of that and get it back onto you because you're their leader and they can trust you. All good stuff. Willingness and lightness. We definitely want a willing horse. If they're not willing, guarantee they're not going to like this job, and I guarantee you the rider's not going to really enjoy it either. Willingness is so important, and lightness. I mean those two words almost one and the same. A willing horse is a light horse. If I have to pull them to get them to walk, that's not very willing, is it? That's the opposite of light, I guess. Heavy, I don't know. So lightness means that I never put any pressure on your rope. You just come with me when I walk. Lightness and willingness, does that make sense? One of the things we're going to work on in the next 3 weeks is lightness, and when you handle the horse, how to keep them light, how to get them to be light. That's huge. I was just telling Hunter, we were down picking feet, and of course Hunter got down there like this, you know, like everybody wants to do. But why? Not that I think the horse is going to jump any minute, but just in case it did, it takes a lot longer to get from here out of the way than it does to hop up and move. So I always say, always keep both your feet on the ground when you're around horses. We have excellent horses, guys. We really do. Y'all saw. Always keep your feet on the ground. And if you ever see anybody around a horse that doesn't have their feet on the ground, then correct them. Now, okay, so a focused horse, they could be focused. How do you know what the horse is focused on? If they're focused on something, how do you know?
Just look at it.
He's looking at it. His ears, agitated. We talked about spooked.
Just thought I.
We've seen. I think Flora's given us the whole thing. She's the one that spooked earlier too. Oh, Flora.
But with a playful young one like this, be clear. because it's your intent. They read your intent. And I watched you and Tracy, you were loving on her and you were having fun, and Emmy was too, and that's great. That's great, because I love to see that in people with horses. That's what it's about, you know, but also is that line of safety and drawing that line, and that's a lot, again, my fault that I didn't say, hey, that's great, you're having fun, but let's just move her away with a little more intensity so she can get the point. Because when she gets the point, she's going to stay right here. They're going to stand right here and look and wait. Like, okay, I got that. I understand what you asked me. Now what? You know, because that's a good working mind, a good working, willing mind. If she's got one of those, she's just going to put.
This right here, that's relaxation. Just like me standing like this, it's just a relaxed stance. Don't worry, don't think, oh, the horse is trying to kick me. Yeah. I see that a lot. It's not. It's actually a positive thing. If you're standing there resting a horse and they do that, then they're relaxing those muscles next to you. It's like somebody, if they were massaging and you were going, ooh, don't touch me, don't touch me. They're not doing that at all. They're going, oh. It's a positive thing. Okay, so we're gonna catch horses. The first thing we talked about pecking order. Everybody understands what pecking order is. That's the word I use on here. We talk about who's alpha, who's not. Staying out of the way of alpha can move anybody. Signs of aggression, we've talked about that. Okay, using a lead rope to move the horses away. You've seen me doing that. You saw Natalie doing that. And the reason I say that is because when you come out here, most of the time you're going to have a halter lead rope in your hand, and that's a real safe way to move a horse. These horses should all respond. If they don't, they're really testing you, and you need to watch it and go get somebody to help you. But you know, I'll do this, and they know to move, especially if you're moving into them. So you should be able to come out here and move that horse out of your space. If you cannot, please don't come out here. If you can't move him out of your space, it's not.
Ask for help. Yeah.
Just ask for help. And if you're bringing someone out here, an inexperienced volunteer, and you're bringing them out here, you need to be able to control these horses. And if you can't, don't bring them out here. Okay, these are big, huge safety issues. So, I almost walked over here, and this little guy, he's low man on the totem pole, and it would be so cruel for me to push him into those horses because they would push him away. I almost did that, but that wouldn't be very nice. See what I mean? He'd probably get kicked and hurt, and it would just be really cruel. So I'll start right here with Mr. Alpha because he can move anybody. Now I'm going to go ahead. Did y'all see his head was kind of pointing towards me? And so the easiest thing was just to move his head. And see, I went for his front end. It moved him away. Move everybody. It's not hard. Not hard to move them. No big deal. Just be sure that you can do it. Booger's not quite so responsive as the rest. Not quite as responsive. But it's simple. It's easy. There's whips in there. The whips are much, much longer. If I think I'm going to have a problem with a horse, then I would use that whip. And I can keep myself at a safe distance. Because I really don't want to come up to a horse's hind end and go, because he can kick me. I want to keep my distance. I can do anywhere from this, and you'll see me. I can do that if I think, but you're going to move if I ask you to move, and if I have to go make that lead rope real long, I can. But I'm not going to put myself in a compromising position with their hind end.
And you start small too.
Yeah, yeah.
Small. You don't even have to have this rope like swinging it, but just in your hand with it goes back to your intent. So if I go at Tony like this and I'm pushing with my body, it goes back to body language.
Yeah.
Use your body language first. So you use your mind and then your body and then your tool.
Come on, sweetie. He's clueless. And I'm going towards his front end too because I want him to move his front end around. Otherwise, but it doesn't matter. If I go towards his back end, he can still figure it out eventually.
Seen people swinging it like this, and now the direction I'm swinging it is not at you, it's away from you, right? So it's kind of pulling you this way. That doesn't make sense. So if you use your body first, right, your mind and your body, and then this way, it's always towards the horse to push. You have to use less energy that way. It makes sense.
Okay, stay in a position, and Ted mentioned this earlier, and that's just the most important thing. Don't get in a bunch of horses. Does everyone understand that keeping a way out? Like, if I'm standing on the other side between the fence and Haas, not a good position, because I don't have a way out. So keep yourself positioned so that you can always have a way out. But let's say I come out here and I'm out here and I need to catch Haas. So with Haas, he's in a position, I could do a couple of things. I could go over there and move him. One of the things I do a whole lot when I come out to catch a horse. Hey, buddy. This right here. What I did is I walked up to him. He was looking at me. Did y'all see how concerned he was? Very concerned. So I don't know why. It may be because we've been chasing him around and he was going, "Are you going to chase me?" It may be because my energy level's up and he's just, "What's going on?" It may be because he's just concerned. He doesn't know what's in my hand, or who knows. I don't know why, but he was looking at me like that, so I didn't want to walk up and just go, "Ugh," because I didn't feel like he was giving me permission. Did y'all see that? The way he was looking at me. So I let him look and check me out until he was willing to straighten his head. Now, what I did is I backed up like this, which actually, there he goes, was telling him to come into to follow me, and he chose not to, which was fine. We're not bonded up, basically. And that's okay. But once he gave me permission to walk into his space and to touch him, and that's just a respect thing, that's just a kindness thing that you can do. I put my lead rope around him, and again, the closer up to here you get, the better. And you can lead your horse around. You don't have the greatest control. It's kind of hard to stop him sometimes. But you can get him out of a dangerous situation to catch him. You see what I'm saying? And I can get him and bring him right here, right out here in the open. And then I can put my halter on. And that's real important. And sometimes when I'm sitting here and I'm fidgeting with my halter, I'm really not paying attention to those guys. And so it's good, just get away from them. There's no reason to be in the mix, in the herd. So when I come up to him to catch the horse, if I'm coming out to catch Haas, I want to come out here. I'm going to come up to him and try not to walk in a straight line, like very predatorial. We're predators by nature, not how we are, but if we try to make a conscious effort to not act like we're trying to attack them with our body language, and try to be soft and gentle, and you can bring your shoulders down, and you can gauge it. He's going to tell me if I'm being too assertive with my body, because he's probably going to run off, and he's probably not going to run off right now because he's looking at me and paying attention, and I can tell, but he may lean away from me if I just...
So with her already, she's very sensitive. We all know that. And I've gotten on her today more than I've loved on her, and that's not very fair. Because she's just a horse. Regardless of what she does, she's still just a horse, and she's young. I know I'm standing behind you. So I'm just going to give him a little toot and ask him to move, and then he's probably going to push her. Real subtle. So right now, Flora's in charge of Amber, and then Pete just looked at Flora one little way and said, "Oh, no, we're done." So now I get to practice catching a horse. Yay! So right when she stopped to turn and look at me, I'm going to stop and back up because that's what I want from her. I want to control this horse from a distance. Like we speak to horses when we come out of that door right there, no matter how far away they are. wants to, but she says you've been pushing me away all week. I mean, all day. Why should I come to you now? There she goes. What a good girl. So I'm kind of pulling her in with my body right now. My shoulders are this way. I'm pulling her in. I'm dropping my shoulder. Ooh. And there's the lick and chew. She moved her hind end around. That was very nice. She said, okay. So right now I feel like I'm pretty okay with approaching her, but I have to be very, I have to breathe and I have to let everything go, because if I hold on to this much, this mare will feel it. Maybe these guys they feel it, but they don't exhibit it like she does, because she will. And so, I don't know if Holly said this, I know she said no tall shoulders, no proud stance, and also if you walk in a straight line towards a horse, it pushes them away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my shoulder here and I'm going to move around her in an arc. And my shoulders are low and I'm not communicating anything to her. But she did that, which was very respectful. And I'm going to hold out right here and wait on her, because I felt like she would come to me, which is good. And you always want to give the horse the opportunity to touch you first. That's very important. I think horses, people misunderstand horses. They come up to them and, oh, you must want love. And they're like, really? No, I don't want love. I want a choice. So right now, I'm going to put this over her neck because she's being really sweet. And I'm going to love on her before I even halter her. Because what we want haltering to be a positive experience. And as you can see, her head's coming down and she's realizing maybe you're not going to eat me with that thing you have in your hand. And what I like to do before lessons, because it helps me get in tune with the horse, I like to move them around a little bit and I like to use my body. So I'm going to use my body and I'm going to say, come with me. And it's all in your shoulders really, because right now it says stop. And I didn't even say whoa to her. And then this, I'm going to ask her to come back, because that's pushing her away. And that right there, I did too much too soon. Did you see that? It took me a while to build her trust from far away, and then she said, that's too much. And so her bubble just grew by like 2 feet. So I'm going to bring her back again, because she's not trusting as much now, and she doesn't want to come. And so I'm going to offer my hand. When she touches me, that gives me the go-ahead, and we're going to go again. And I use my shoulders, so right now, when I pull her in, I drop the shoulder to me. Drop. Here. It should really be a bit like a dance. And just move them around, get them comfortable. This gets them, like Holly said, it establishes dominance. But with her, I needn't be like I am with the other horses, because she's so sensitive. So right now the head's up and she's kind of, I feel from her like, yeah, this is great, but I don't want you to push me around right now. I want you to love on me because you've been pushing me around. So when you halter the horse, it's best to throw the rope around their neck and just give them some good loving, not too much. Like right there, she just looked at me and said, your hands are too heavy. They need to be lighter. Every horse is different with touch. Like you saw Amber. Amber does not like hay touch. It's very light. The more sensitive horses, the lighter the touch. Hoss and Booger love a good firm rub down. Hoss and Booger are not opposed to heavy hands. Pete's kind of somewhere in the middle. He tolerates it because he's a superstar, but he would rather you be light and easy. And so what I'm going to do, and this also will help find any sore spots that the horse has before the lesson, because if they're sore, we don't want them carrying an unbalanced rider. You know, that's not, they have a hard enough job as is. We don't want to make it harder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at her neck, and I'm going to listen to her, and I'm going to watch her ears and her face and her eye right there. So maybe she's not as happy with being rubbed on the chest, so I'm going to stay here for a bit and love her. it's good to be able to touch your horse all over, because we do a lot of touching here. Touching's good. I know that sounded bad. I didn't mean it that bad, but hands-on with a horse is really good. The riders need it, the horses need it, we need it, and it's good. And so I haven't spent enough time with this mare to really know a lot about her, but I'm learning a lot right now, and she's pretty tolerant of my touch. Did you see that? It was very gentle. It was very subtle, but I came up to her udder and she said, "Whoa, that's not cool." So I'm going to go back up here where it is more comfortable for her, and I'm going to try to make it feel good for her. That's the goal in the hands-on, is giving her good stuff and taking the time it takes. And yeah. So just rub them all over. Be wary. Like with Amber, you can't go back and love on her hind end. I wouldn't recommend it. You probably will get kicked if you don't listen to the earlier signs. But that's the thing. If you listen to early signs and if you watch, you can be safe out here and you can avoid any trouble, because these guys are so simple. We're the ones that make them complicated, and we don't listen. My thing, if you have an extra 30 minutes, if you get here 30 minutes early and you've already cleaned the barn, come sit out here and watch these horses. Bring a chair, sit, and just hang out. And it's real cool. You'll learn so much more than you will from any human that can tell you anything about a horse. Look, right there. She said, "No way. Really? Did you see her move away?" It was just like, ah. And that was good. She came back and took a step towards me. So I'm going to pull her in again. So she's still not, she knows my bubble bigger than most people's. So she's still real hesitant about approaching me. So if a horse is hesitant about approaching you, you're going to go in slowly. I'm going to give her my hand, wait for the touch. The touch is here. And this is a really fun game I like to play. It's good for their mind, it's good for you, and your body language and how it affects the horse. She's already moving away, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull her in. And I'm not pulling on the rope. I'm just running my hands through it. And I'm asking her to come to me. And she comes to me and I say, "Thanks, good job." And now I'm going to say, "Well, let's go away again. And now let's come back." And this right here is going to help you get used to using your body and the way that it affects the horse. And then so here, when I drop my shoulder and I push this into her, I'm pushing her hind end. I'm saying, "Move that thing away from me." Good. And then when she does it, I'm going to pull her back in and I'm going to say, "Thanks. I appreciate that. You listened really well." I pushed her too much because she doesn't want to touch me. I used just this much pressure, too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask her to follow me again. Just walking with your horse is very good. It gives them confidence. They're naturally followers, and so they like to follow. They're prey animals. But I really don't have to do anything for my body with my body because I've already established. She knows how big my bubble is, and all I have to do once is raise my energy like this, and she's going to move away. So this is not necessary. It hurts me to see somebody leading a horse like this. Come on, horse. Come on, horse. No. I wouldn't want anyone pulling on my face. If I see you pull on a horse's face, I'm going to ask you not to, and I'm sure Holly will do the same thing, because these guys they are Grace Lake, you know. They are the ones that carry the riders, and they put up with all of our crap. Horses put up with people's crap. They take their junk from them. And so we want to be as kind as possible. So as leading, you use your body, and you really don't have to touch the lead rope, because when they run into the end of that, they feel that pressure, and they want to move away from that pressure. So if I walk, I don't know if I can show you because she's going to move when I move, but she doesn't ever want to get to the end of the lead rope. Does that make sense? You don't ever want to get the horse to the end of the lead rope. Because if you're doing it right and you're using your body, they're going to move in a way with you, and that's what we want, because in lessons, there's the leader of the horse, sometimes 2 sidewalkers, the instructor, and the rider. And that's a lot for that horse to deal with, because I can guarantee you that horse is trying to listen to everyone all at the same time. And we have to be clear and we have to be fair for them. And so, yeah, don't tug. Who's that? Don't tug on them. Be real gentle. Let's see. Sometimes I have the end of this lead rope to give a little reminder. Did you see she was kind of like lagging, like maybe I don't really want to move my hind end, and so I just said, oh, just touch. It's a very small touch. And right there I'm asking her to move her shoulder, so I want her to move her shoulder over. She still didn't move it over, did you? Oh. Because you want to start right here beside them. And first you put the lead rope around their neck, and I try to halter always from the left side, just because it's habit for me and it's easier, and then that's how we all halter the horses. So I mean the left side's consistent for them. And what you want to do is you want to be okay with having their head right here, and you can reach around and pet them and love them, and you just slip it on. And for the taller horses like Hoss, he can be trouble because he'll put his head up, but I have this in my right hand. I'm going to reach over and pull it down. And so you saw all my movements were very subtle, they were low, and they were close to the horse. Okay, I've never done this with her, but she's probably not going to like it. You don't want to have it up here and be like, come here, horse, come here, horse, come here, horse. She's tolerating it, but that's not cool. She doesn't like that. So what I'm going to ask her to do, I'm going to ask her to lower her head first. I'm not increasing pressure, it's steady pressure. So right there, she let go, and I'm gonna say, that's good. All the other horses are real good about a low head. She's good about it too. I just wanted to show you if you do have a problem and you can't get their head down, it's a good thing to loop it over their ears like this and just coax it down. Not into me. Right there, real subtle, she came into me. I didn't ask for that. And it's pressure and release. So once they try a little bit, then give it to them. So now I'm not having to pull near as much. Well, I wasn't. You should be able to get her head all the way down. And then she comes back. That's okay. How about let's go grab some halters and catch some horses.
Okay, if I were coming out here, no one else was here, and I was going to get Amber, which is the mare to the far side, how do I move Haas away safely and get her safely?
Well, for me, I would direct and drive the little sorrel forward by looking at his hind end and asking him very gently, but if you to go, I'd whack
There
his
you go,
butt.
and he will move, because he respects that.
And then I'd let everybody calm down, because she might have shifted, and then
She most likely
see if
would.
she's-
She most likely would. So you've dealt with the Pirelli halters before?
no.
Somewhat?
But
Okay.
I use Clinton's.
Okay, are they similar? Okay, I thought they were.
Well, except I think they're the same.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, those halters. So now we're getting on pretty well. Yeah, we are. We are getting on pretty well. That's a sweet girl. She's a very sweet girl. Very powerful though with those pulling away on those feet, and that's just what we've. Because last summer she had some really bad thrush, and we had to do some serious doctoring repeatedly on her, and I think that kind of aggravated it. But anyway, we're gonna get past it. It's not an okay thing, you know. This mare's got too much to offer to have those kinds of issues. Wait a minute, let me get this turned around. How are the Clinton Anderson halters different?
Well, they fit where lose the bottom teeth
I see.
because this is too low, and horses get this over the bottom teeth and rip them right out.
I just always those up pretty tight, you know, secure them up, but anyway.
Is that okay?
That's good. That's good. Now, you'll notice with her, she's, like I said, she's really calm, like all about here, but if I just come in here, go back, see. And I lead up closer, now that's just me.
Oh, no, whatever.
That's me, that's my safety thing. I don't give them this much room.
Because she's sweet.
Oh, she's nice.
Shall we go see her? Do they want Amber outside?
No, we're gonna take her inside. She's a half thoroughbred and half cornish there.
Let's peeks there.
So again, coming through this door, just give them time to make sure they. She does. Okay.
So Derek, really relax your shoulders, drop your arms. Yeah. There. You see how she's bending towards you? That's good. So now throw it over her neck.
Maybe we just want to run it. Yeah.
But I really want you guys to move with your horses and get a sense of the way they move and what they're telling you. And you can hold a minute. Here, let me do this. Let me shoot it to make sure. Hold. There you go. Yeah, you go through, so you tighten up. So push it up tight because it will loosen. It will loosen. So this is where you want this to be. Look right here. And then you're going to do a D. You see the D I mean? You need to do the D below it. Because if you do it above the knot, then it can't be loosened. So do the here and the D. Right through the middle. Good. Yes, ma'am. You got it. Okay, I'm going to let you lead it around. Don't be scared to move.
What do you want us to do? You want us to dance or go
Dance,
out?
I don't care what you do. Do jumping jacks, dance, touch your toes, and her. Notice their body. Notice how close they're following you. Everybody see, if you have a rope like this and a horse pulls back or sets back, you will lose your hand. I repeat, you will lose your hand. That's not good. So what I want you to do is we fold over like this. So I have it like this, and if a horse goes, it's gone. It's not going to hurt my hand. I want you all to keep your